During my childhood, I had one big dream, and that was to create true freedom for myself. I have tried throughout the years, hundreds probably, of different side hustles, and I've made some money here and there, some feast or famine kind of stuff, but I had never achieved the big breakthrough until 2015, when I discovered something that really changed everything. I started selling simple mugs online. Now, fast forward to today, I've generated many millions of dollars in print-on-demand sales for myself. I've had over 1,000 people post that they've made their first sale online using my system, and I've also created a fulfillment center that generated many millions of dollars in print-on-demand sales. So in this journey, I am sharing my full journey for the very first time, from hustling as a kid to then making millions online. So let's dive in. So first, I'll kind of go from where I started when I was young as a child. Our financial situation when I was much younger, it was kind of feast or famine, just like I created later on. So there were times I feel like we were doing really well, and there were a lot of times when we weren't. I've since heard stories from when I was a child that when I was a baby, my dad would drive me into the grocery stores in a stroller and then put food underneath me, basically stealing food because we didn't have enough money to have food, right? So we would go from that extreme to things would be so good, it would be like all you can eat shrimp at the shrimp place. So it was just feast, famine. And so it was pretty unstable, I would say. And I always equated money to freedom. One story that really showed me, to me, how important money was. I was probably 5, and I remember my mom and my dad had a big argument. Now, I could say a whole bunch of things. My childhood, I would say, was not the cleanest, but this particular time, my mom and dad had an argument. My dad said, "That's it, I'm leaving, I'm never coming back." My mom was hysterical. I remember I ran out to the car to try and get my dad to calm down a little bit. And I remember I was just saying anything my 5-year-old self could think, right? Like, don't worry, you guys will be okay. Why don't you go on a vacation? I think you're both stressed. And finally, I had calmed him down. And when we came back to the house, because I had ran into his car to go drive with him, I told my mom what I had said. And first I was like, don't worry, I calmed him down, and I could tell she was calmer. And then I told her what I had said. She's like, no, we can't do that. We don't have money to go on a vacation. And probably too much for a 5-year-old. It just really showed me that it was one imprint of many, that money could help make things better. So as I was a child, I tried all different types of things. I had lemonade stands. I would charge, my friends and I would charge for dance parties. I remember we had the Don't Worry, Be Happy song. We would do dance routines too. When I was 8, I had a flyer distribution service where I walked to a bunch of different businesses inside, like near the town that I lived in, and I charged them, I think it was $50 for every 1,000 flyers that they would want me to hand out on their behalf. So they would give me a flyer, and then I took a bunch of different flyers from the local businesses, I stapled them together, and then I would hand them out to people. Or they could pay me a surcharge and I would create the flyer for them. And there were so many different things that I was doing. I mean, as soon as eBay opened back in like 97, I was a power seller there. I was going to thrift stores, and I had a list of all the high-end brands that I had found on a search somewhere, and I would go to the thrift stores and I would look at all the tags to try to find the high-end brands and then flip them on eBay to make money. I remember, for example, I found a Burberry coat that I made a ton of money on. But I was just always trying to find hustles. I was always trying to create security and income. So the biggest lessons that I learned here is just like, there are things that I could do to make money. I just needed to provide value, and I was just always willing to try things, test things, and I was able to create, a pretty good kind of spending cash as needed. So I would do side hustles all the time. If there was a babysitting job that I could do, if there was anything that I could do to earn money, like, sign me up. I was in for it. As soon as I turned 16, basically, I was applying for all the jobs. I became a Walmart cashier. So that's how I got started. And I did that for a few years, but I quickly kind of climbed the ranks while I was there because I just had an insane work ethic. I became a customer service manager pretty quickly. And then I became a human resources manager, and then I became an assistant manager, and they just kept promoting me over and over and over. From there, I was working there, and it was just a rat race. I mean, all the time, working. I remember one time I was at Walmart, and there were these district managers that were over, a few different stores, and the district managers would choose someone that they wanted, that they saw had potential, so the rising stars. So the district security loss manager and the regular district manager both chose me as people that they thought had a lot of potential at Walmart. And I remember one time the district manager and I were talking, and at the time, Target was trying to recruit me to go work for Target. And the district manager had gotten wind of that. And he's like, Rachel, why would you leave? Like, there's so much potential here. And at the time, I was working crazy hours every single day. I mean, the schedule would say, let's say 8 to 5, but I'd have to come in earlier and I'd stay a lot later. And I remember when we had that conversation, he was trying to show me that I was meaningful to him. And he's like, Rachel, like, go home at 5 today. Like, I got you. Go home at 5. Go home at 5 when, I started so early in the day. He was doing me a favor to let me work 9 hours. I mean, that was the kind of vibe being a Walmart manager was. So I decided to go over to Target. And so I was working at Target as an executive soft lines leader, basically an assistant manager over the clothing department. They put me on a really busy Target. I remember there I was working, this would be a theme many times in my life, but I would work 36-hour shifts there trying to get things done. They put me in a store where there were 2 managers there before me, but I was just handling it. And at the time, by the time I got to Target, I think I was 23-ish. I was making $55,000 a year. And I thought, like, this is it. It's not going to get better than this. I was paying my way through school. At the time, I didn't know even what I would want to go to school for. I thought it would be good to get a degree. So I was paying my way through there. So I went to community college first, and then I was taking classes online to finally get the degree while I was working full-time. And I felt very trapped at Target. I remember I would sit in the office with some of the other managers, and we would talk about, and they were older than me, maybe in their 40s at the time, and they would talk about how they hated their lives. I mean, that was just the thing. And I thought, there's no way I'm ever going to get out of this. I don't know how I'm ever going to have a family. It's just this work kind of retail thing. And I really realized that trading time for money is a losing game. And while I was working at these places, by the way, all the time, I would still do little side hustles. I was still doing my eBay stuff. I was still doing little things to try and make money constantly. I remember I had a boyfriend at the time who was so risk averse, and he kept telling me not to do it. But I just kept trying to make my life better. So around, I don't even remember how old, around 23, 24, I read this book called The Millionaire Mindset. I think that's what it's called, by T. Harv Eker. So at the time, I needed that in my life. At the end of the book, he talks about how he has these millionaire mind intensives where you can go to this 3-day event and learn all these things. And so I drove to New Jersey from Pennsylvania. I went to one of these events. At the end of it, they have you break a wooden arrow against your throat. This crazy thing. And I had been a really quiet, non-adrenaline child, just like reading books or trying to make money, but very quiet and very, very overweight child too. And so I never did anything kind of movement-y. And so when he had us break the wooden arrows against our neck, I felt this force of adrenaline. And so he started to upsell us to this other thing, this warrior camp. And so something in me just stood up and signed up for this warrior camp, put it on my credit card. It was a few $1,000s. I didn't even think about it. Stood up, signed up. So then from there, I go to this warrior camp with T. Harv Eker, and it was exceptional. In case any of you ever do it, I don't even know if it's still around, but I won't say too many things, but they had us do these wild things that I can't believe that I even did. Okay, so I Googled to see. It looks like the warrior camp isn't around anymore, so I can tell you we did all these crazy things that were not me at all. I mean, we walked fire walks. This whole thing was the fire walks were longer than the Tony Robbins fire walks, and we choked people until they passed out. There were people behind them to save them, and then we got passed out, or we got choked until we passed out to kind of confront death. There were sweat lodges, walking tight ropes. I mean, it was outrageous, all the different things that we were doing. And so we would do these physical things, and then we would also have emotional work, and the whole thing was just to really make us feel unbreakable. And so by the end of the warrior camp, I thought, you know what? I am going to quit my job. I'm going to go full time, and I'm going to just try to make this work. So that's what I did. And very soon after, I heard about a marketing event that was in LA at the time. And so it was actually a party at the Playboy Mansion randomly for this marketing event. And so I decided, I quit my job. I put in my 2 weeks notice. I decided to drive from Pennsylvania to LA to go to this event. At the time, I did not have money. I was sleeping in Walmart parking lots while I was going cross country to be able to fund my way into all of this. And at that party, which I still have no idea why I even went, but it just seemed like a really cool thing. I met at the time, she became my best friend, future business partner. I ended up living with her, and it was just an incredible connection. And from there, I began my location independent journey. It was just there where I moved into LA, first time I lived out of my house, basically, and I just started working online full time. So that was awesome. From there, I had tried so many different types of business models. I had been an eBay power seller. I was creating information products. I had an information product about how to sell baby shower favors and just all kinds of random things. You named it, I tried it. I was selling affiliate marketing. I was a high paid copywriter at one point. So when my business ventures weren't taking off, and when I actually first got started, I also was selling this item on Craigslist. I had found on Craigslist where it says, learn how to make money. It basically taught you how to be an affiliate. So I started promoting that product that taught you how to be an affiliate, and I got a commission on that. And so I was constantly posting on Craigslist every hour on the hour. I would wake up in the middle of the night to just keep posting every hour. And I was making a lot of money very fast, like between $500 and $800 a day, every day for months. But what happened was I started learning about all these different types of business models. And so I stopped doing what was working. And then I kind of started looking at all these other shiny objects. That was unfortunate. And Craigslist eventually started making it so that you would get flagged for posting too much, which I'm not proud of what the Craigslist situation back in the day, but that was what I was doing. So it was working for a little bit, but then it wasn't. And so I became a copywriter for a little bit, where people would pay me to write kind of sales letters for them. Got some incredible results for that. Some really good, got beautiful like testimonials from really highly esteemed copywriters like John Carlton and other people. So it was good. It's just, again, trading time for money with the copywriting stuff. The other stuff was feast and famine. I just never knew what was going to work. So that is all that. Now cut to 2015. So from 2006 to 2015, trying all these different things. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. 2015, I had an ex-boyfriend who was he had a Facebook fan page that was all about pit bulls, like the dogs, pit bulls, and he was selling all different types of mugs to them. And so at the same time, I had been dabbling, as we know, with all the different things. I'd been selling on Amazon. At that time, I was selling Easter cookie cutters and wooden easels and all the things. I decided, let me put one of those mugs up on Amazon and see what happens. So at the time, I started making a couple $100s a month very quickly from just that one mug. So what I decided was, let me see if I could do other dog breeds, Rottweilers and Boston Terriers and whatever. And then I started making more money. And so soon I had thousands of products listed because I figured if this works, then let me add more. And it was awesome. And I was making a couple $1,000s a month pretty quickly. I'm not saying that this is going to be anyone's experience or anything, but this is kind of what the trajectory was for me. So I had that. Around that time that everything started, I don't know, maybe 6 months later, I went to a mastermind. Someone said, why don't you teach this to other people too? And I had thought about doing that, just making a very quick product. So it's like, you really got something big here. People want to know what this is. So I put together a course where I was teaching people how to do it. And then around that same time, I also created a fulfillment center, a print-on-demand fulfillment center where I would sell my items on Amazon, and then my print-on-demand fulfillment center would create them and then ship them out to customers. So like I would sell a mug on Amazon, my fulfillment center, Custom Happy, would make it, ship it to the customer, and then I was also fulfilling orders for my low-hanging system. That's the course that I put their students there too. So I just started scaling fast, right? Because I started listing more and more hundreds of products, and it was fun. This was a stress reliever. I had a lot of stress going on in my life at the time for a lot of other reasons, and I had so much fun coming up with different designs to put on these different products. I would lay in my bed and I would just come up with phrases and throw them on like blank pictures of mugs or blank tumblers or whatever, put them on Amazon, and then only after the item got sold, then it would get made and shipped to the customer. So it wasn't like I was buying any inventory in advance. I just got to come up with lots of phrases and stick them up. So it went really well. I generated multiple six figures pretty early on, and then I think there's only been 2 months since 2015, and one of them was because of an error that I did. I'm pretty sure every other month has been at least 5 figures a month in income, or 6 figures when it's Christmas time on some Decembers. So that's been awesome. I created systems and processes to make things kind of run easier, so now I don't spend a lot of time on that business at all. And along the way, I achieved insanely amazing location freedom. Nothing I'm saying is necessarily going to be your results, but I got to travel to so many different countries, take my mom on these luxury vacations to Vienna for December, to Santorini multiple times, to other places in Greece, to Italy, to Israel, to Spain and Portugal. Beautiful trips, beautiful life I'm super grateful for, and I really have incredible location freedom. My fulfillment center has made multiple 8 figures in sales, in gross sales for students. My own sales have done 7 figures of my own print-on-demand sales, and it's been awesome. And the really rewarding thing has been with Low Hanging System, the course, to just see so many people like see results. I'm not saying everyone sees results or anything, but I've seen some phenomenal success stories that just make me feel a real deep sense of purpose to be able to support other people in their endeavors and help them have a little bit more freedom in their lives too. So it's awesome. I mean, I'm really grateful for my life. And I would say if you are wanting to create freedom in your life too, it can absolutely be done. That's my story, basically, from being an 8-year-old hustler to building a multi-million-dollar print-on-demand business. And I share this with you not to brag, but just to kind of show you what's possible. So if you are stuck maybe in a 9-to-5 job that you hate, or maybe you're tired of missing important moments with your family, or you want the freedom to work anywhere in the world, whatever your why is, there's a way that you can achieve it. I think print on demand can certainly be a piece of that, and I am really living proof here. So if you are ready to start your own print on demand journey, I would love to help you. I am hosting a training where I show you exactly how you can get started with print on demand, kind of how I look at things, different examples of products. The same kind of system I'll share with you is behind the thing that's helped over 1,000 people make their first sale online. I'm not saying your results will be like that, but it's been a really cool thing that I've loved sharing. So click the link in the description if you want to save your spot for this training. It'll give you everything that you need for this business model. So you can click the link, register for the free training, and I will see you there.